Today I'm sitting down with someone who knows a thing or two about relocating for football, Allison Stoutland, and a very dear friend. She's a former teacher, a children's book author, and of course, the wife of Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland. She's moved a lot, raised a family through it all, and is here to share her experience with us. Allison, thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy. I really am.
Oh, thanks.
It's nice to get out of your own house.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and be a
change
guest.
The scenery. Well, let's talk about who you are and all of your experience moving for football and then some. Good, because I completely admire you. That's no easy feat. First of all, moving, right? Don't they say if like your marriage can survive a move, like you can survive almost anything?
Do they say that?
I think. I don't know.
I never heard that. Maybe that's how I've made it 30 years, because we've moved so many times.
So many times.
Yeah. That's news to me. That's comforting.
You're a professional. You should be giving classes on.
No, but I really could just use more of your help. I mean, we've been pretty fortunate. We haven't moved as much as some of my friends in this business. Yeah. Some of them just turn it around like a year or two. And that's just heartbreaking and hard and difficult. And, you know, they have great attitudes, but I mean, I don't think I could, I'm not that good. We generally, the least amount of time was 2 years. And now here it's, I think, going on 12 years.
So this is the longest?
This is by far, well, actually, this will be the longest because I'm not leaving. I've decided that he can, and I'm not.
That's nice.
It's very nice.
Is this your favorite place you've lived? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, no, it's a fair, it's like, who's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
Kind of. Every place, almost, had something wonderful about it that we miss, or people we loved, or a restaurant that was special to us, or a doctor, or a hair cutter, all the things. But if you put it all together, Philadelphia, or, you know, we live in Rose Valley, is by far, hands down, no question about it, and no contest or competition, is our favorite place. All of us, our entire family.
That's so nice.
We just feel so lucky to have landed here, and so lucky to have somehow managed to stay put for so long. Yeah. And I'm so grateful that we bought a home that we loved, because that doesn't always happen either. Right. It's like a grab and go. You know, you have 1 week to find it, you have 1 week to move to it, and you get the best you can. And you know, when you do that at a supermarket, you end up with some really shitty meals.
I know.
And so sometimes you own homes that are good enough for that time. And you know, we never thought we would be here this long. And I'm just, all the time I walk around that house and I'm like, oh, thank God we picked her, because I'll never leave her.
Right. Well, I love your house.
I know. We had you at our house at the beginning.
Yes.
The beginning of time.
Happy memories there. Yes, I have fond memories of how you used to host the offensive line for the holidays, and which left such an impression on me. I mean, I was, you know, a girlfriend at the time.
Yes, you were.
But
a pretty one.
Thank you, much younger one.
Yeah, well, me too.
Right. But I just thought that was so nice that you just kind of said, because these guys, you know, which goes into relocating, of how difficult and niche that this is, they're not with their families and for holidays, and they're all very young.
Yeah. And remember though, that's not the typical NFL.
You host? No, not at all.
We came from college, and so we always had them over our house, because now you're talking 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds just leaving home for the first time.
Right.
They didn't had to do laundry. Yeah. Some of them didn't drive when they got to college.
Oh my God. And
you were their family, and you recruited them as your family. Yeah. So when we came to the NFL, we just carried on what we'd always done. And so, to be fair, we don't do it as much as we used to, because it's so much more difficult in the NFL, because They have families, they have kids, they don't live here full time. When they are here, they're working. It's a whole different makeup, but.
And it's a ton of work on
well,
the host and hostess. Like it's a lot.
It's a lot of food.
Much credit. Oh my gosh. That's
I mean, what are there, 300 plus,
pound men
plus,
and then their guests.
And whatever they bring along is their sidekick. And we had a small home.
Right.
I mean, I remember you could not get around, get through. I mean, we've been cooking for them forever. And I mean, here's this is when I knew I was in trouble and over my head. I don't remember we were at Michigan. So we're at Michigan State, and we had a deck, and it was a barbecue. And so I was making nachos, just as Jeff would say, just make a lot of fillers.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's $1 million if you're giving them all like meat.
Right, of course.
So I started with nachos, and I had like 5 or 6 trays, the big industrial size. They weren't sexy.
But they loved them, sure.
I did. I got them all cute, and they were ready to go. When they walked in, I handed them, and I said, here, take this out. And I remember one kid took one out to the deck, and then I pulled another one out, and he went out to the deck. And then, they were gone, and now I moved on to part 2, who knows what that was. And I looked, and there was a line. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, where are our nachos? I was like, no, those are not self-serve. That's for all of you.
Oh my
They
God,
just thought it was like a TV tray. Like that was theirs. And I thought, oh my God. I mean, I was calling neighbors. Do you guys have any rolls? Do you guys have any ketchup? Short knives. I mean, before you knew it, the neighbors were just bringing over food.
Oh.
So at the beginning, it wasn't a very sexy meal.
So funny. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was. So we don't do that as much, but I wish we could. It just gets harder and harder and harder.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I know. But it's kind of funny because a couple of the guys, or maybe just one at this point, of the guys that you hosted in that year still on the line, like Lane.
Yeah, I think
that was his rookie year.
He's the only one left of that
and
original
Jason
crew.
Up until last year.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's okay.
And they're always changing. And this is also odd. When we were in college, you're always the same age in college. And, when I started as a coach's wife, right? That's what I am. They're always the same age, and I got older, and our kids got older. So first they would play Pretty Pretty Princess with them, and then they'd help them do different science projects. I remember one guy helped my kids build a hot dog cooker. While I was cooking, they made their school project. But now our kids are older.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yes.
And your kids are not old by any means.
27, 30,
but
and
just
now
the guys are so young.
Maddie is older than Jordan. And she's like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm still 27. So it's just weird because they always are the same. And we just, now I could
Well, that's how I feel. I'm like, how am I? Because, there's a few years between Todd and I was always on the younger side. I'm the same age as Lane.
Are you?
Yeah, but but now
you're still a baby to me, girl.
He's the old man on the line.
He is.
The vet.
He's the respected
the wily vet.
Yes, he's the wise one.
Yes, which
is
Todd,
crazy.
At some point. But now I'm like, how am I? Because the guys are like my younger siblings' ages and stuff. I don't know. That's crazy. But I'm jumping around here.
It's okay. I'm right here with you.
These are near and dear to my heart. These are your books that you so generously gifted our firstborn child with personal messages in them and everything, which was so sweet.
She's family.
Oh, we love them so much. And they're all valuable in such a way that they're for adults and children. I think it's a nice reminder when we're sitting and we're reading some of these that it's like, I can put my best foot forward, and what did I do today that was positive that could have helped somebody else, or take a deep breath, which is something that I need a reminder frequently.
Don't we all, though?
So, but I was cracking up, Todd and I were cracking up, that your short bio in the back, there's a different location of where you live in every book.
Wow, you really read them from cover to cover. I mean, they're not a long read or anything, but
no, really?
Every book I wrote with my partner, Kathy, who's the illustrator, as I'm looking at the titles, I know just which school I was at.
So where were you?
I wrote it in Syracuse, but it was published and printed when we moved to Michigan State, and they said to me that I was lucky it was green, because Michigan State's green and University of Michigan is blue and yellow, and they said they would have burned them all.
That's so funny.
People are crazy about football.
Especially in Michigan. That's a huge rivalry.
It's the thing.
My in-laws were.
That's fine. They're
Sparties.
smart.
We're Sparties.
Oh, that's us.
Yeah. So, but then this one is Weston, Florida.
Well, that's a reprint and a redo. That was my first book.
Oh, really?
And that book was printed in New York, in Manlius, New York, when I wrote it in between Cornell University and Syracuse University. I'm not going to do states. It's too difficult.
Yeah.
So I wrote it in between two schools.
Wow. Yeah. And
that one I wrote after our head coach was fired at Michigan State.
Wow.
Because I was struggling as a parent with sending my kids to school after the news broke that everyone was fired, and I didn't even want to walk the dog that day. Like, I didn't want to leave the house. And so I was like, don't worry guys, I'll just drop you off at school, because I didn't want to walk the dog and I didn't want to go to the bus stop. And I remember driving them to school and them talking to them and saying, you know, here's what happened, and people are going to say things, and you just have to take the high road. And when you come home, we'll know more. And I remember thinking and feeling terrible that I hid behind like the car and didn't go out and deal with people. And I just was like, okay, off you go, bye-bye. And sent two young kids to an elementary school, and they were fine. They're better for it. But that's, you know, that's the icky bit when you raise football kids. But I wrote that because one of our players had made a bad decision.
Wow.
We all make bad decisions.
Of course.
But because of his bad decision, our head coach was let go. And then when your head coach is let go, then inevitably there is a huge shakeup, and maybe they keep one or two just for the players to know somebody, for some stability. But generally, you know, it's demolished.
Wow.
And so I thought, if one person could make a bad decision, it could affect so many lives in a negative way. What if one person did something positive and it affected so many people in a great, and that was when that book was born. And in the front, it starts with a lemonade sale with Jake and Maddie. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Look at that front. Well, it's really Maddie and her best friend Melissa.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yep. And that is, they did raise money for breast cancer because my dear friend had breast cancer.
Aww.
So, I mean, my life is in those books. And therefore, football is in those books. So, and I love giving them to football kids, even when their dads are retired, you know. Fabulous one. It's usually my go-to gift.
I know. It's the best gift. It really is.
I'm glad you love them.
But with the kids, that was something, you know, that I didn't get to experience necessarily as a mom. Todd's last year, I was pregnant with Olivia.
Safest place for a baby to be during a football season.
Yes, yeah. So I really have no concept of what it would be like to pack up school-aged children and, you know, relocate in new schools, new friends. How is that for them?
Well, you know, they take their lead from us. So it's a lot of, you know, going in your closet and crying, and then, you know, wiping your face and, you know, pinching your cheeks and, you know, my allergies are killing me, and out you go. And a lot of, you know, tough conversations. But The thing about football children is that living the life when your parent is a coach, you have such a leg up on the rest of the world when you're grown up. They are like no other human. They can master a crowd. They can walk into a crowd, know nobody, walk into a school where they know no one, and talk to anyone. They can get around a city they've never been in before. They will eat any food they've never had. They have a larger perspective of the world as opposed to growing up in the same home, in the same city, going to the same school with the same friends for your whole life, which isn't bad because that's what I always dreamt of. That's what I always wanted to give my kids. I thought that was stability. And my biggest worry when I married Jeff was what will happen to our kids. Like they'll be so messed up. Like they won't know where they belong. They won't have a hometown. They won't have best friends. I mean, those were the things that kept me up at night. And as it turns out, that life secured all those things for them. And they do choose their hometown, you know, but when you ask them where they're born, like Jake will say, well, I was born at Cornell University. He wasn't. We were working there.
Right.
We actually gave birth in Connecticut because that's where my doctor was. But my daughter will say, like, I was born at Syracuse University. I'm like, no. But
so cute.
In their minds, that's where they were born, but that's not home. And I would say now, my kids think Philadelphia is home. So they don't have a problem with that. And they're the best travelers, the best people to go anywhere with. They're so independent. I admire football kids more than most people I've ever met. And there's sort of an understanding with them where you take care of the other. So when you go into a new school, generally, football people, you know, because you have to kind of do your due diligence. Where are you going to go? What town? What, I mean, like, you know, they just say, okay, we got a job at Miami. And I'm like, what? And then like all of a sudden you have to start thinking, okay, all right, Miami, all right. School, where's the office? Where's the best school district? And you start honing in. And generally, there'll be other coaches' kids there when, you know, we're not stupid people. You want the best for your kids.
Right.
So you end up, and usually there's a coach's kid in there that will like embrace you and adopt you and take care of you. And I mean, there are a few that suck. And they'll go to hell. And that's fine. But on the majority, 99% of football kids are class act. And they'll be like, I got you, Maddie. I'll partner with you. We'll do the speech. Even though, you know, they don't even know you.
Right.
It's called football family.
Absolutely.
And so my kids don't have one best friend in one town where they grew up in. They have hundreds of people who would, you know, fight battles with them. And they're scattered. So like when my son he got married, he had like one best man, one this, one that. Like we had every state represented. And our friends too. We have friends from everywhere. We bring, I like to think like we collect friends. And you just take the best from wherever you go. So the moving's awful. I'm not gonna lie, it's awful. It's heartbreaking. Saying goodbye is the worst part of it. That's the worst, but.
It's almost like you wonder, or I wonder, if the speed at which it is that you find out you're leaving and then you have to figure everything out, it's like, is the universe almost protecting you by making everything quick? Like, you know, it was nice knowing you, you know, this stinks, but like you don't have too much time to like sit in it because you got to figure shit out.
True.
You know?
But
doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, it does not help at all. And generally, it's not fast enough for it to feel good. Because he's gone.
Is that even a
thing? Like he'll say, we're going to Miami. And then he leaves Monday. And that's Monday, like, I don't know, let's just say maybe February. And we've got a school year. We have a team that's in the middle of a playoff. We have to sell a house.
Right.
We have to find a house. We have to buy a house. We have to close on 2 homes.
Right.
We have to pack up. We have to say goodbye.
Right.
And so we're not leaving until the end of the school year, potentially.
Right.
So you're talking the end of June. So from February to June.
So you are, yes, okay.
Is not fast at all.
No.
But, you know, that's the beauty of the job. Lucky to have a job. There are some people who don't get that next job.
Right. It's bittersweet, right?
Very bittersweet.
Like everything. But I can attest to how awesome Maddie and Jake are. Like,
right.
I met them as teenagers, and yeah, they're just awesome. Everything you said just perfectly describes them. They're so dynamic, and they're interesting. They're interesting individuals because they have all of that, you know, life experience that some people never have. Adults go through.
And they never wished for that. It kept me up at night worrying about it. And I never had to. And that's what I would tell new football parents. What not to worry about. I mean, there are parts that you need to worry. But in the grand scheme of things, you're creating our future. And what a great future it is.
Is that your next book?
No, but maybe it should be.
Yeah.
Will you remind me I said that?
There's a player's life, and then there's a coach's life. And
I don't even know the player's life.
But I can't wrap my head around the coach's life. I really can't. I remember when we were in Indiana. Do you remember Colton Keeley Anderson?
I don't. Am I supposed to?
I love them so much. He was on special teams, so he wasn't.
So I probably, you know.
But they went to Indianapolis the year before we got there, and you know, thank God we had some familiar face. But I would hang out with Keeley and her 3 kids at the time. 2 or 3? Yeah, 3, I think, or maybe 2. I don't remember. I think they're up to like 4 right now.
Oh my.
Yeah, all boys. God bless. But her neighbor was one of the coaches, you know, so I would be hanging out with her, and then, you know, Todd and Colt would come home, and then he still wasn't home, and she's like, oh yeah, I don't even know if it, and I was like, what? That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know any different.
Yeah.
I mean, well, let's just say this. I had a lot of dreams as a little girl, and wishes and hopes. And I had hoped like I would, you know, marry this wonderful human, which I did. And we would like antique shop on the weekends, and we'd cook together, and, you know, live happily ever after, and we'd be sick of each other, and it'd be great. And I got the great guy.
Yeah.
But he's never home.
Right.
Ever, never. He takes his job very seriously. He enjoys work. And so I had to learn how to live on my own.
Well, it takes a strong woman.
But I wasn't when I started.
Well, somebody thought you were, the universe or God thought you were.
Or it's just a really bad joke, I'm just not sure. But I mean, I just remember we were dating, and, well, I mean, I met him at a bar.
Yeah?
Yeah. And so it's nothing sexy.
Are you guys native New Yorkers? Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Long Island, New York, and he's a Staten Island guy.
Yeah.
And we met at a bar, and my girlfriend liked his friend, so I kind of hung out with the pack. There were like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And he came over and he said, "Can I have your number?" I was like, dude, like, this is a bit much. And he said, "We have a rule. Whoever gets the number first, everyone else has to back off." He said, "I just really like, you know, I'd like to maybe go out with you. So can I just have your number?" And I was like, what does it matter, right? This is the day where the phone's attached to the wall and your mother answers it.
Machines and
so it wasn't like I gave him some personal private cell.
Right.
And so I said, sure. And I said, well, are you going to write it down? He said, no, I'll remember it. And I'm like, oh, he's an idiot.
He's full of shit.
So I was like, 281-0806.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. It didn't matter. I mean, I had only known him 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
So I was like, what? Yeah, jerk off. Well, that night, let's just say my girlfriend was very much into his friend. So we went back to their apartment.
Yeah.
And they did whatever they did. And I was with Jeff, and I was on penicillin because I was a teacher and I always got sick during Christmas vacation, and that's when this was. And so he made me a cup of tea and we watched It's a Wonderful Life because it was always playing on TV. There were no Netflix or anything like that. You had 8 channel options. And we watched It's a Wonderful Life and we said goodbye. And he called me the next morning and he said, I told you I would remember your number.
Oh my gosh.
And he hung up. That was it. It was like 6 a.m. He just wanted to prove that he knew my number. And 6 months later, he proposed to me in front of my classroom.
Oh my gosh.
He recruited me. I totally got recruited.
Oh my gosh, I love that story.
And so that is how it started. And people like wives of other coaches would be like, you know, I'll be here for you. And I'm like, you know, you'll always be alone. I'm like, well, you must have a terrible marriage. Like your husband doesn't come home, like something's wrong. I feel bad for you. You suck at the job of wife. And I remember meeting Jeff at that bar that night, and I said, well, what do you do? And he said, I'm a football coach. And I was like, no, what's your real job? I had zero idea about football. He said, I'm a college football coach. And I thought to myself, great, he's stupid. Like, this is just gone. He doesn't take my number down with anything. He coaches football for a living. Like, how am I supposed to make, what? And so now I realize that it's a real job. It's a total profession. He's great at it.
Yes, he is.
And he's never home, so I must suck as a wife.
Joke's on you.
It is. All this time, I just wish I could say, Roberta, you were so right. He never came home for lunch.
Oh my gosh.
So
I love that story.
Yeah, that's a true story.
When you know,
why would you make, well, yeah, but also sometimes you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I would just say to him, just do your job. We're not going to get fired if you do your job. Work. Like, how hard is that? And then, of course, he said, one day I'm going to get fired. I'm like, no, you won't. And he didn't, but he got promoted, which was just same end result, really. You move.
Yeah.
I go to schools and I speak and I say, you lose, you move because you're fired. You win, you move because you're promoted. And if you don't really win and you don't really lose, you're going to move because either one is going to take you down. And so you never know when the rug's going to get pulled out from under you.
Gosh.
But you can't live like that.
Absolutely.
Because then you're not living.
Because then you're not living.
And I always say to my kids, like, if you move and you're not sad and you're not leaving a hole and people aren't crying, you failed.
Right.
And that's the worst part. You know?
It is. Hindsight's 2020, right? So when we were in Indiana, and that's the whole reason why I started birds nesting.
I can't wait to hear this.
From our personal experience. You know, we just found a random real estate agent. The random guy brought us to a random neighborhood and said, here's, you know, this fits your criteria. And we're like, okay, great. No one lived there. There were no teammates anywhere within, I think the closest that were near us was Colton Keeley, and I think they were at least 20 minutes away.
Really?
Which isn't like a huge deal, but it's very isolating when you live near no one. And I think we tried to host the O-line one time. It happened once, and then after that it was just fell apart because it's like trying to get everyone to do something. It's just
wrangle cats. It's hard.
Literally. I mean, one was a dad. He had already had 4 kids at that point. You know, it was just. So anyway, with all of that being said, I was like, someone's got to be able to, you know, hold your hand through this process. Say, you know, this neighborhood looks great on paper, but you probably shouldn't live there. Or, you know, a doctor. I became pregnant with Olivia. We were newlyweds. I Googled, you know, because I'm Google savvy. I'm not tech savvy, but I can navigate the World Wide Web.
Google's your friend.
It's my friend. I would read reviews. I didn't like my doctor. it was terrible. And so I ended up leaving that one. I don't know. We didn't know where to eat. These are
It's
all
your life.
They're all first world problems.
But they all add up to how your life is.
And the experience.
Yep.
So we couldn't get out of there quick enough. We got the heck out of Dodge. We didn't really enjoy it. We weren't living, is what I'm trying to get at. We did not live the experience. And we look back and we're like, it could have been so cool. We could have enjoyed it. We could have just like slowed down, looked around, like, you know.
Well, because you do feel like there's like not a gun to your head, but like, hurry. Yeah, hurry up.
This is home.
Yep.
Make it home.
Yep.
Get used to it. Go find all the things, and you know.
Because you don't know how long it's going to last. If you take too long, you've missed it. And everyone else is doing it at the same time you are.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, where they are in their career and all the things, so you do feel like the wool's going to get pulled out from under you, and you're like, you know. So anyway, that was our experience. We didn't live, you know, and I would love to revisit and maybe just leave with positive memories, you know?
So what you do is you help people live in a new location. They make a life.
Because I feel like I noticed with Todd, he would be very concerned with how, you know, I was filling my time. Did you find, you know, where you're going to do Pilates? Like all these silly things that he should not have been concerned with. And I didn't ask him to be concerned with it. I didn't ask for his assistance, but he was my husband. So he was like, okay, what are you going to be doing, you know, when I'm gone all day?
Sweet.
So he's very sweet in that way. But so I feel like if there's just somebody that can say, you know, hey, welcome here. These are all of the things that you should, you know, look into, or these are the recommended things, because there's a lot of sketchy people in areas too, right? So
really?
They see athlete.
People who want to take advantage of you, people who know you're coming,
yes.
people who are just waiting for you.
Which happened to Todd.
Sell you a bill of goods.
Yeah. His first home that he purchased, he way overpaid, but he didn't know. He was, you know, a kid. But anyway, so if there was somebody who could just kind of take care of behind the scenes, then the husband, the boyfriend, the son, because I deal with parents too, they can just focus on work so they can thrive on and off the field and not have to worry about that stuff. And almost a goal of mine is to open their eyes to everything or most things that Philadelphia has to offer, because I feel like it's a great place. I feel like they should love it. They should love different aspects. Like, to know it is to love it, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't know Philadelphia, it's
no, you're scared of it.
It could be very intimidating.
Well, I mean, that's its MO.
Right, exactly.
You know, I mean,
and if you
and
can't
I don't
take
mind
it, get the
that.
hell out of here.
Yeah, and I don't mind that about it, because it keeps all the people out.
Right.
Like, you don't want everybody here.
We don't.
Yeah, like it's almost like this secret. Like if you have a good restaurant, you don't tell everybody, because then you can't ever get in it again.
I know,
it's the same thing. Yeah,
exactly.
really scary.
Right.
Very scary.
You know, and a lot of these guys are from small town USA.
Sure are.
So they're like, this is culture shock. So anyway, yes, that's the.
And so when they talk to you, you get, I imagine, you understand their personalities, what's important, where they want to be, where they spend their money, what they like to do,
where they came from,
and then you find
wrap
the
it up
happy
in
spot.
a nice little bow. But that's what sets me apart from other realtors, is that I will go beyond the finish line. So besides finding them the perfect place to live, it's like, you know, where are all of those places? Where's your girlfriend going to get her hair done and her nails? And what local lifestyle, health and wellness places should you be going to? Oh, these people will definitely take care of you. Todd has been here, which is crazy, this year, 20 years.
Wow.
He was drafted in 2005.
Golly.
I have not been here 20 years, but
and they weren't good without you,
right.
Let's just say.
I went to college here. And through just my personal time here, and then being with Todd, we have made friends and relationships with amazing local people, business owners, and trustworthy, like almost family. Like, you know, football's family. It's, you know, just when you find those good people.
Yep, it's so important.
And so I just want to share that with everybody. It's like everybody wins. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have a great experience and everything like that. So, yeah, where the kid's going to go to school.
Yes.
These things, you know, are important to me for education. Okay.
And like you said about Google, there's just so much you can do with Google, and then to have someone who's really looking out for you.
Right.
Because, you know, the way even you find a realtor sometimes is like the coach passes like, I don't know, someone in the cafeteria and they give them a number and then they call them, and then the next thing you know, you have yourself a realtor that you really never asked for, and you can't get yourself out of that because now you've got one realtor, but then a wife called you and gave you their name, but then they really are responsible for where you end up.
It's a huge deal.
They don't always know you or have your best interest. They're just trying to get that person the commission, you know?
Right.
So to have you, I mean, I could have really used your help a number of times. I mean, it's like having a best friend with you to help you do your dirty work.
Absolutely. Or I like to say an older sister because, you know, they're around my siblings' ages, right?
Gotcha.
You know, they don't have to feel bad about shooting me a text and saying, hey, I'm looking for this, you know, I'm looking whatever. But I'm fortunate enough and happy to say that I'm working with most sports in the Philadelphia area, so it doesn't stop at football. But
I imagine they all have the same issues.
Yes, and who to anticipate their unique needs than somebody who's been through it? It's like, oh, well, you know.
You can almost anticipate before they know what's coming.
Right, before they
Because at the beginning, you really have no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
Just even the moving, that moving portion.
Right.
Like that truck. That truck makes me vomit on sight. I see them on the highway and I can't even look. I think about the crying kids that were at the end of that driveway. You know, the stranger, like, who's waiting for the truck on the other end because you can't get there.
Right.
I mean, all the things that you know are coming that you could like help soften the blow.
Right. And like I said, I do a lot with parents too. So Todd's parents actually found his home in his first home in Jersey because they wanted to replicate a similar environment that he came from, like the small town, rural area. So, you know, which is a whole different dynamic. And of course, now that I'm a parent, I empathize with those concerned parents of like, my son is going to live, you know, across the country. What are we signing up for? Where are we? What is this area like? What's happening? So it just brings me joy, complete joy. And I kind of feel like I have, like, this was kind of my calling. I don't know. It's
a good one.
It just makes it made too much sense to me, and I feel like it comes naturally.
I was going to say, you're very good at it.
No, thank you.
I mean, it takes a special person. That's a lot of work.
And I get emotionally involved.
Well, that's
maybe
problem.
I should. I haven't
But that maybe is what makes you great.
Because I care so much, and it'll keep me. You know, it's. I'm in the business of relationships and problem solving and on all of the things. So I sit there and I think about it, and I'm way more accessible than I'd like to admit. But that's what I would want. I would want somebody to answer the phone at dinner time, and you know, if I had this pressing question.
And if you answer your phone 90% of the time, if you can't the 10 because you're really no one minds. Everyone's you know, understands.
Right.
So,
and there's the time is of the essence, right? Yeah. Everything happens so quickly.
It does. And decisions, there's such big decisions. I mean,
big decisions.
And sometimes you just get so tired of making the decisions. And you know, there's no, hi honey.
Yeah,
you know, hey, listen, yeah, well, you know, there's black mold, but we've already put down the deposit. There's no other house in the school district. What should I? You're not answering the phone.
Or it snowed and we're snowed in. Who's going to plow the driveway? I had a story from a friend whose husband played with Todd. She was like, I was snowed in one time. If I just had someone that I could call to say, hey, who do I, for this and that. And Tori Foles is somebody who's like, I wish you were around. She's moved 7 times and with children. And she's just like.
And always a smile on her face.
I know. So like graceful. And I feel like, but that's the majority of these wives and girlfriends.
No, not all.
No, I mean, at least who I know.
Because like attracts like.
Yes, right. So
not everybody. And that's another thing. Like you cannot assume everybody has your best interests at heart.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to be very careful who you pick and choose as your people.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I notice that there are people who are more reserved and have that wall up. Mm-hmm. But I understand that completely. I get that because
I don't mind a wall.
That's me. Mm-hmm. I am very, guarded sometimes, but because when you're in this lifestyle, you don't know who can I trust, and if you've been jaded, then
sure, and they're out there. Mm-hmm. But there's also, some of my very best, dearest, most wonderful, hysterical, brilliant female friends are coaching people.
Yeah.
And I never saw half of them coming.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And there's constant turnover.
Yeah.
So there's constant goodbyes and then constant, hi, my name's Allison. Mm-hmm. And I always used to say to my kids, you want to be the one who welcomes the new kid in the school.
Yes.
Because it will be you, and you know what it feels like. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with coaching. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been there when I've, pulled up to a new home and the boxes, it's like a trap. Mm-hmm. You don't even know where you're trying to head because you can't see. And there's like 6-foot tall boxes everywhere. Mm-hmm. And some wife, pulls up at the front with 2 bags of groceries, paper plates, a bottle of wine, and they're just like, I'm not coming in unless you need help. I'll see you in a week or 2.
That's so nice. Yeah.
But there are really great people.
Right.
They're great people. So, like my kids, I've lived in a million places and now I have a million friends.
Yeah. What do you get rid of? What do you hold on to?
First of all, buckle up because you cannot prepare for it.
Yeah.
You cannot make a spreadsheet that will make this any better. Mm-hmm. I used to do lists. Lists are but it was my sanity because I would be up and it was just all the random things. Mm-hmm. School records, so many things. In the middle of the night, you'd be like, I got to get their dental, I got to call the orthodontist. And so I had paper everywhere with lists.
So I have a girlfriend whose husband is a basketball coach. So they've been on a few teams in the NBA, and he's currently a head coach in the G League. They're in Canada right now, actually. And she just 3 children. She has packing and moving down to a science.
Oh, she should maybe do that for a living if she has a life.
I know.
I don't know how you do anything else when you're always moving with your kids.
She's great, and she does it with a smile on her face, and she's a lawyer, and I admire her so much. The awesome thing about what I do as well is help transition the guys outside of Philadelphia. Like when they're moving to a different team, I can figure out the logistics of their moving, their packing, the organizing, where are you going? Okay, we're going to that city. I even have international connections because a lot of baseball and soccer guys come from different countries, and now Jordan with the Eagles, he's from the other side of the world.
Everyone's coming from there now.
And even if I don't personally have an agent in my network, nationally or internationally, I can vet them or have them recommended to me, and get to know them and feel them out and see if they'd be a good fit with the
Which is
client.
priceless, because then it's someone you trust and no bad things will happen because someone's got you on the other end.
Right. Someone trustworthy.
Yes.
And then I've even done things turnkey. I'm currently working with somebody who doesn't really want to have to worry about what he's bringing up, and he's only going to be here for a few months. So we have everything figured out, furnishing, everything down to the toothbrush. So he just has to come with his clothes, some personal items, whatever, stock the fridge for him.
That's a great way to move.
I mean, you don't have to think about anything. And if your home base is across the country, and you're here for your job, why do you have to uproot and move everything?
When they have you.
Right. So that's
Well, knock on wood, I never need you. I don't want to go anywhere. But if I did, I'd be calling you.
Oh, well, you're an expert, so you don't need me.
No, I'm not.
I'll hire you. You can work with me.
Be careful what you wish for, girl. So my mother said, "Are you getting a job?" I'm like, "No." Like, Mom, have you ever known me to be able to be like in real estate? Oh, right.
Oh my gosh. You'd be a great agent. You just keep it real.
I'd keep it real, but I could not help you with any of the measurements. Anything with a number, you can just count me out, period.
It's a lot to think about. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just not my wheelhouse.
Let's do some rapid fire questions.
Okay, do I have to answer fast?
No.
Okay.
It could be as quick or as detailed as you'd like.
Okay.
But I just thought this would be
feels a
kind
little
of fun.
scary. Okay,
Right?
go ahead.
Okay. Favorite city you've lived in and why?
Philadelphia. It has the best food, it has the best football, it has the best fans, it has a fabulous international airport. You can get to New York on a train.
Yeah.
It's close to my family. I'm never leaving.
Aw, those are all really nice. I mean,
That was fast enough?
yeah, I mean, that was fast enough. No, I agree. I feel the same way. It's so funny because, my whole family's from New York, and they had never been to Philadelphia until I applied to schools. And they were like, "You can't go to Philadelphia. Oh my gosh, we've never been." But then, they visited. They're like, "Oh, this reminds us of Brooklyn. It's a, center city."
Isn't it so funny?
And they loved it.
I never knew Philly. It just seemed like the furthest thing away. And Jeff was like, "Oh, Philadelphia Eagles." And I was like, Philadelphia?
I know.
Ew. Rocky? Ew.
Rocky.
Like, I didn't even know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
just all the things. It's centrally located, right? We're not too far
so
from
much
the shore.
history.
Oh, the history's great.
we're right near, you can get to the beach. If you want to get to the beach, you can get to the mountains.
Spoiled with the food.
Well, forget the food.
I know.
Food is fabulous.
It's the best.
But shh.
I know, right? It's a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Right. Well, not so hidden anymore. This is supposed to be rapid fire, but
I was like, I don't feel like we're rapiding. That's fine. Go ahead.
The area I grew up in Jersey, everything was New York. Like, we're all New York fans, New York transplants,
Yeah,
everything. It's all Philadelphia now.
Oh, where you grew up is now,
Yes.
yeah, we're taking over.
People are catching on.
Sure. It's good.
It's good, but I'm like, I love Philadelphia.
Yeah, you don't. I do.
I do.
I love it more. Okay.
Any funny or unexpected stories from a past move besides bringing 7 sleds to Miami?
Yeah, that wasn't funny. That was just sad. Funny. We moved to Alabama. And there was a culture difference. And we were renting a home, and it was a big kitchen. And you had to get something immediately because there was like a whole slew of new people coming in, and whoever got it first got it first. So it was really, it's a mad dash.
That's tough.
So Jeff just got it. I never saw it. It just was done. Mm-hmm. And
is that scary?
yes, but you can't control the world. So you control the things you can't. I couldn't control that one. But I remember I was trying to be friendly, and I was so confused with all the cabinetry. There were so many cabinets in this kitchen, and they went all the way up. So like, forget the fact that I couldn't get to half of them.
You need a ladder.
And I didn't know what they were all for. I mean, I've had kitchens. It's not like I lived in a shed. So I was outside, and I was, I think, bringing a box to like the sidewalk or something, and my next door neighbor was there. He was a man, and he's like, oh, hi, blah, blah. And I said, oh, hi, you know, nice to meet you. And I said, I have a question for you. I said, what do you do with all the drawers in your kitchen? Like, what do you put? I mean, I have so many drawers. Do you have that many drawers? And he thought I was talking about underwear. He's like, your drawers? What do you mean you have so many drawers? And I was like, well, they're all over. They're in my kitchen. What do you put in them? That man never ran so fast for me. And I was like, what is wrong? And then I realized that he thought I was talking about my underwear.
That's so funny.
And then my neighbor across the street, Miss Connie, who I love, knocked on my door one day, and it was late. I was like, hi. And she said, hi. I said, do you want to come in and see? She goes, no, I can see from my house. And I was like, okay. And she said, I'm putting up. You want to come over? And I'm like, you need help? And she's trying to be neighborly.
Right.
She said, yeah, I'll have help. I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. So I got out of my pajamas, I put on clothes, and I grabbed my ladder. Because she's putting up and she needs help. So I knock on her door, and there I am with my paint-covered white foldy ladder. I'm like, okay, Miss Connie, I'm here to help. And she said, come on in, like looking at me like she didn't just invite me. I walk in her kitchen with my ladder, and there's Mr. Beal, and he says, hey, Yankee. And I was like, hi, Mr. Bill.
Yankee.
And so she said, well, you can put your ladder there. And I was like, well, don't you need help putting things up? She was putting up okra.
What is that?
It means you cut it, you cook it, and you put it in a jar, close it, and you put it up for the winter time. So there's this northern girl with a ladder, and I was like, oh, I'm in trouble here.
That's so funny.
Have you never heard someone say they're putting up?
No.
Well, you have to. You're on a farm now. You better start putting up.
I gotta start putting up.
They put out, but this is putting up. This is very different. In New York, we put out, but down south, they put up.
I'm crying. That's so funny.
Yeah. That was not good.
So funny. What's your favorite part about living in Philly? We probably went over that, right? But do you have one favorite part?
I love saying I'm from Philly because it's all encompassing, and it means you're a kind of a person. It means you're devoted, you're loud, you're in it, you're passionate, you're honest, you swear, you eat well.
You don't give a shit.
You don't. And like, you are a good friend, and you are a hard worker.
Right.
And so when I say I'm from Philly, it's all of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like I was meant to be a Philly person, really.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a Connecticut girl anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely I wasn't a Southern chick. Miami I can go visit, but I never wanted to live there. Michigan was nice. I wasn't nice enough for Michigan. It was Philly. It's always been Philly for me, which I never knew. You don't know until you know. And I never would have wished to move here.
Yeah.
And I can't think of living anywhere else.
Oh.
So that's my answer.
So nice.
All right, so one more?
All right, last one.
Oh.
If you could give one piece of advice to another coach's wife preparing to move, what would it be?
It's two-part.
Okay.
Number one, don't let people tell you what they think you should do. And I don't mean advice or they know. I mean, if you think something's best for your family or the weird way your family does it, you do it. And put your mask first on, and then worry about everyone else's, because you've got no family if you fall apart.
Right.
And your kids are watching you, and they have to learn that you have to take care of yourself too. So being a martyr and doing it all yourself isn't benefiting your children at all. So, and cry.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. And then celebrate.
Yeah.
Just be real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be ready.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What did Jeff think about you coming here today?
Well, you know, he hardly knows anything about what I do, to be fair. I mean,
Are you going to tell him you had happy cake?
oh, well, definitely. Tonight at dinner, I will definitely tell everybody what I ate. And it was delicious. You did a great job.
Thank you.
I did tell him I was coming, and I said, yeah, I think that, you know, like, hopefully I can help her, you know, and then maybe it can help me. But, and he's like, well, you are going to help her, aren't you? And I was like, Coach, like, back off. I already said yes. But, like, he's always coaching.
Oh, thank you so much.
This was an honor.
This was an honor for me, a treat.
Win-win.
Win-win, and I hope it's not the last.
No, it
coffee
shouldn't
talk.
be. Even if there's none of that, there should be more of this.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
honey.